Hey everyone, Brian Von VA here, back at it again with another set of D&D stories. This time we've got, what character have you made that broke the norms of what is usually expected? Part 2. I haven't been able to play it, but Apprehension, the Fear Bard. A Warforged lore bard built and self-modified to look like a scarecrow that has escaped from the lab of the mad wizard that created him. The wizard had imprisoned his creation after it turned out to be far more sick and twisted than he had intended. A very high bar, which years later managed to burn down the whole lab. I have themed all the spells. For example, Spirit Guardians as crows, with a plethora of fear-based spells, but also old-school physiological horror tactics, with experience in intimidation. His hobbies include telling scary stories to people at inns, and then later making them live and die in those stories, and mastering his instrument of choice, the Engine of Apprehension, aka the thing they used to make the sound effects for horror movies, and the thing that inspired the character to begin with. A second level dip into the undead patron warlock from UA wraps up the package with my patron being the Hanged King from the SCP universe. This gives me a terrifying fear form that adds rattling chains, a broken noose, and lots of eyes, based on the tale of the Hanged King, as well as a mask of many faces, so I can move about the normal folk to spread my stories and find specific fears of potential targets to capitalize on. Edit. Also, with the voice of the first form Cell and the attitude of Alucard from the Abridged series to bring it all together. Kendov Dez, an old red dragonborn samurai. Due to his age and experience, he knows his way across certain kinds of lands and can tell the calling cards of certain enemies. His skills with the blade can allow him to get the most damage out of his strikes. He is a hunter-ranger, makes for the perfect samurai. When making the royal family for the setting of my campaign, I wanted to spice up on what the normal expectations were. I had always found it weird that most races that ruled kingdoms were always well-known fantasy races like dwarves and elves, even if there is lore that explains why. So I took that into consideration when crafting my kingdom and its alliances with other provinces. I made the king a human male and his queen a red dragonborn. The lore was that while the king was still a teen, his father became a mad tyrant that made plans to kill the council of a draconian city that opposed his rule. The king hurried there in order to stop the assassination. He made it to the city and was able to find one of the council members' grandchild, a female red dragonborn. Though she was skeptical at first, she and her brother helped the young king reach the council to foil the assassination. With that, the council provided their aid in assisting the king to overthrow his father. The king's only request was for the two red dragonborn to help him as well. It was granted. The king soon became close friends with the two dragonborn, and soon confessed his romantic feelings to the female. She felt the same, and they've never left each other's side since. After the king's father was overthrown, the king proposed, and the two were married. They ruled the kingdom and created new alliances with the Queen Birth City. They brought forth a new age of peace. During this time, they had two children. Both looked human, but also had some draconic features: red scales, horns, tails, etc. The prince is an enthusiastic optimist that loves to hunt wild beasts in the forest with his boyfriend. The princess is sheepish in public, but wants to see more of the world and explore her newly gained magical abilities. My players love the prince and princess. The wizard is bubbly and energetic, which matches with the prince's personality quite well. Our rogue has become good friends with the princess, to the point he sees her like a sister. The rest of the party was cool to see such a unique take on the royal family in the campaign. Just goes to show that no matter what you make, someone will acknowledge the work you do and give their gratitude towards it. The first time I ran an interesting character was my second time playing, and I needed a lot of extra help from the GM to set up a small backstory. I was running Skinny Runt Dwarf, about hobbit size, with a few scattered whiffs of hair as a beard, and I was trying to be a good warrior despite lower racial stats for con. I was also pretty racist to goblins after they killed my parents. Later on, when we captured a goblin and interrogated him, he gave us the line, "Only life we can live as goblins is being thieves." To which my character responds by taking off his helmet to reveal inverted pointed fangs, a crooked nose, large cave dweller eyes. Yes, I was a goblin who had his parents killed at birth, but they took a liking to the baby goblin because of his sticky stature and his juvenile mustache, which is rare on races outside of the dwarves. Then I reply with, "You chose your occupation. My parents seen my inner potential, turned me into a frontline honor-bound swordsman. It's your choice to be a rundown little greedy sneak thief, and that's the hole you chose to sleep in." Needless to say, the party was pretty shocked to find out about his, but I read the lore book pretty close for goblins and dwarves and tried to play a sleeper goblin the best I could, even speaking in goblin on numerous occasions, and eating raw meat when I couldn't wait for it to be burnt in the fire. Plus, a lot of their racial bonuses are similar, such as dark vision, so it's hard to immediately deduce this. I kept my warrior's helm on pretty much at all times, saying it was fused to my face from numerous battles. Later on, when we returned to his home, his dwarf parents were on trial for housing a goblin for a long time. I intervened in the trials by demanding a trial by combat, to which they chose a particularly large dwarf that led the attack on my extinct tribe some years ago, Breck Gobstomp. With a few lucky rolls, I was able to best him in combat and take him to death saves. Then, fighting my primitive instinct to kill a weaker foe, I claim that I am a true dwarf, and anyone willing to argue can try to best me in battle. Till then, I want my parents to be honored citizens again. There's some arguing in the crowd, till Barrack gets up and says, "You fight like a true dwarvish warrior. Anyone who challenges you will dishonor our clan and will have to answer to me." And ever since then, I've been known as the Grom, the Great Green Dwarf. I played a lawful good necromancer. He was a tired old man who, all his life, had worked as a grave tender. When he was 15, in a desperate moment, he made a deal with spirits to bring back his brother, but his brother arose as an undead. He was never quite the same after that, and shut himself away for years, but the spirits never stopped haunting him. At the age of 18, he got a job as the city grave tender, and there he stayed, growing more powerful as the years went by. At the ripe old age of 82, he decided he had enough and joined a group of adventurers on their quest. Sadly, I didn't get to play as him for very long since the campaign ended, but I shall always remember Albert, the lawful good necromancer, very fondly. I played a homebrewed class called a Channeler. A long time ago, my character's ancestor tried to cheat death. As a punishment, the Raven Queen cursed his bloodline to have their souls forever roam aimlessly on the mortal plane. Fast forward several billion years, and he is survived by my character. His family had turned their curse into a boon and used the spirits of their ancestors to fight and keep them from making the same mistakes made in the past. My character's name was Maximilian Alistair, later known as Max the Many, from all the ancestral spirits he's collected. The gimmick is, everyone in his family, unless they married in, had Max in their first name. His dad, Maximus. His sister, Maxane. His brothers, Maxton and Maxar. His spirits, Maxwell, Maxine, and Maxel. Didn't realize till later I'd accidentally myself's a JoJo reference. I was playing 2nd edition. Had a nearly perfect roll, which consisted of 1 17 and the rest 18s. Roll at the table in front of everyone. So I made my first Paladin, played on the alignment tightrope, because I am not going to play that lawful idiot that everyone thinks a Paladin is. Instead of following a god, I followed a philosophy. I wrote a 3-page on the religion of battle. You know the struggle for life, how it covers agriculture. Battle is worship. If you fuck it up, you don't make it out alive. The Goblin that is a citizen of a city was being picked on by the city guard. I was expected to stand up for the Goblin because he was in trouble and going to die. The problem is he chose to pick the battle, and I, as a Paladin of battle, would not interfere with his worship. Because if I sit there and sit on my glass of wine, I can enjoy the worship. It was like every session you're going to lose your Paladin ship if you step one more step past that line. My rogue druid kinda sticks out. Having been raised by dryads in the Fey Wilds, Elvin is a trickster character who chose to become a rogue. He has many friends within the Fey Wilds, all Fey of course, and explores the prime material plane from time to time, accompanied by his friend/bodyguard Cain. The Warforged he found and reactivated with the help of his second companion, Zephyr, his familiar, teacher, father figure, etc. His biggest motivation is to find a cure for his girlfriend, who suffers from a rare disease that enables her from leaving the Fey Wilds without dying. He's always up for a good prank, but likes to play the hero on occasion as well, so that later he has lots of stories to tell to his girlfriend. My chaotic evil halfling bard named Tooth. Essentially, he uses disguise self and his disguise kit to look like a dentist, advertising very cheap dental work. When he gets someone into a back alley or an abandoned building somewhere far away from anyone, he steals their teeth, all of their teeth. Sometimes when they are unconscious, but usually that's too much effort. He carries around a bloody bag of teeth and shakes it as his musical instrument. Human wizard divination specialist named That's So Sly, Oh So Fly, None Too Shy, High as the Sky, Blind Wise Guy, Sir Mordecai Eagle Eye Jr. Esquire. And yes, his whole name basically describes his entire character. He was a snarky, chatty smartass who smoked a ton of drugs and of course was blind. Also went to law school, which kind of ticked off his father. That's Sly, oh so fly, none too shy, high as the sky, blind wise guy Sir Dr. Mordecai Eagle Eye Sr., who wanted him to get his PhD. But the two have since made up and are in constant communication with each other via sending and scrying. I've mentioned this character in another story that wasn't about him, but I thought I'd give him the spotlight. Though our entire team is an interesting one. The campaign is nicknamed Speechless in Seattle, or Speechless for short. Disclaimer, not actually in Seattle. None of the PCs can communicate normally. It originally wasn't supposed to be a full campaign, but we really enjoyed the idea of role-playing these characters. This is focused on my character though, Kenku lore bard named Chibi, 5th edition. As a bard, I'm kind of the face of the group, but I mostly speak through broken phrasing as though I'm using recordings of individual words. Think Bumblebee in the live-action Transformers movie. I will do direct quotes on occasion, which is particularly fun when saying it back to the person who said it. I play a violin and mostly just want to bring the joy of music to everyone else. The backstory is that I was raised by a single Kenku mother, living as nomads, often shacking up with random travelers. One day when Chibi was young, a traveling bard stayed the night with traders and such joining as well. He had a beautiful violin and played it even more beautifully still. Chibi was immediately enthralled and spent the whole night recreating the sounds of the music while playing an invisible instrument. While he was passed out in the morning from a night of elated mock playing, the bard was packing up and about to leave, and Chibi's mother stopped him and begged him to allow her to study and take note of the design of the violin. It took years and many prototypes, but Mother finally made a near-perfect copy of the instrument. Chibi had his mother mimicking the songs that he had memorized back to him so he could eventually teach himself to play. She passed tragically a few years back. So Chibi has taken to the wind, trying as hard as he can to bring the others the same joy that music brought him so long ago. Anytime I roll a performance check over 25, Chibi gets particularly into his performance, pouring the tears as he is taken back to that night, or one of the many nights he spent dancing to his music with his mother. Brian Von VA here, checking in after the video. How's everyone doing tonight? If you like today's stories, then please leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell to be notified whenever we upload. Make sure to join the MrRipper subreddit to submit any stories that you have to offer for us. Follow MrRipper on Twitter and Twitch, and join the Group Finder Discord. Links are all in the description below. You can also come join me on YouTube and Twitter, Brian Von VA, where I stream games and make a ton of voice actor videos, including voicing your D&D characters, which has always been a hit. As always, I try to end things on a positive note, and today is no different. Everyone in this world struggles, some more than others, some less so, and no two life is the same, neither is what we face. But we do have one thing in common no matter what. Things are going to get better, and it may take time, but if you face any pain, be it emotional or physical, seek the help you need to get better, be it professional, or confidence in a friend, family member, or even a loved one. You are not a burden and never will be to those who love you, so talk to them. And if you aren't suffering, then check in on someone tonight or today. Hell, do it in the comments too. I want to see some people checking in on each other, damn it. All the love, everyone. We'll see you next time. Be safe out there, and I will see you next time.